Thanks for joining us a little later than planned due to the sad news breaking tonight about the health of the Princess of Wales.
Of course, our colleagues at ITV News will bring you much more on that story at 6:30.
But first, for us tonight, we can exclusively reveal that Liverpool fans who were caught up in the violence of the Champions League final in Paris will be compensated by UEFA.
After days of gruelling talks between European football's governing body and lawyers for some supporters, a payout has now been agreed.
Thousands of Liverpool fans were caught up in disturbing scenes of violence from police and locals outside the Stade de France in May 2022.
Let's cross live now to ITV News correspondent Rachel Townsend at Anfield. Rachel, what more can you tell us?
Well, Anne, as you say, this news breaking in the last few moments. Lawyers representing large numbers of Liverpool supporters have confirmed to me that a deal with UEFA has now been reached. It is a settlement that UEFA want to keep as confidential as possible. They won't say how many supporters are being compensated or how much money is being paid to them. But this is a huge moment for some of the thousands of Liverpool supporters who experienced real traumatic scenes in Paris almost 2 years ago. It is also a huge result for the legal team involved. Now, Gerard Long, one of those leading those negotiations, sent his comments through to me just a couple of moments ago. He says, as a local firm, it was important for us to be able to report back to them that we would resolve the matter without lengthy legal proceedings. He said, I would like to make it clear that no deduction will be taken from my client's damages and that they will therefore receive 100% of the compensation received as part of this settlement. Now, the Champions League is UEFA's showcase club event, but catastrophic organisation and safety failures ahead of that 22 final contributed to a horror show for thousands of supporters. You may remember footage from the Stade de France ahead of the final. We saw supporters waiting in enclosed areas and children and the elderly being pepper sprayed as they came through the turnstiles. The fear was that this could have turned into something much more catastrophic. Now, this isn't the end of the matter for UEFA. This is just one legal claim being brought. There are at least two others involving around 2,000 Liverpool supporters. And although today's result is a victory of sorts for some Liverpool supporters, given the traumatic experience that they endured in Paris, it is a legal battle that none of them wanted to bring.
Rachel Townsend live from Anfield. Thank you.
More of the day's news now, and the father of a baby boy who died in what became known as the Morecambe Bay maternity scandal says he's disappointed and frustrated after a new report revealed that some lessons still haven't been learned. It looked at recommendations made by reports into a number of scandals, including Morecambe Bay, where failings led to the deaths of 11 babies and one mother. And today it was revealed that despite those recommendations being accepted by the government almost a decade ago, some are yet to be fully implemented.
It's devastating, it's absolutely heartbreaking, and it brings back all the memories of what we went through, which you wouldn't wish any parent to go through. It's really losing a baby, I think, in circumstances that, you later learn could and should have been avoided, is, I think, the worst thing anyone can experience. And I say my heart breaks that other people are still going through this. In 2023, 2024, we shouldn't have this health system, this maternity system where things like that can happen. These should be never events, yet they seem to be happening routinely. And we've got to do more, and we've got to do it urgently.
Well, a spokesperson for the Department of Health and Social Care said patient safety was paramount, adding, we've established an independent body to investigate and learn from serious patient safety incidents. We've made progress in improving maternity services, reducing the stillbirth and neonatal death rate by 23% and 30% respectively since 2010.
The mother of murdered Warrington teenager Brianna Jai says she wants to meet mobile phone companies as part of her campaign for better safety for children online. Brianna, who was 16, was lured to a park in Culcheth and stabbed by two 15-year-olds. One of them had watched videos of torture and murder online. Esthajai has already raised the issue with Prime Minister Rishi Sunak.
That was a very positive meeting as well, and he came into the meeting not just as the PM but as a parent as well. And I think that there is the acknowledgement that there are issues, and I think we're going to be having a longer meeting with Michelle Donnellan, the Secretary of State for Technology, at some point. And I think that the main thing now is to just keep these communications open.
A reward of £50,000 is being offered as part of the investigation into the death of a man who was attacked at a music festival in Manchester nearly 10 years ago. Robert Hard, who was 26, died after being punched at Parklife in Heaton Park in 2014. His mum says he should be enjoying and living his life to the full with a family of his own. The reward is for information leading to a conviction.
The Conservatives have picked a new challenger for Andy Burnham's job less than 24 hours after their last candidate for mayor defected to another party. Laura Evans will be the Tories' new candidate for Mayor of Greater Manchester when the vote takes place on the 2nd of May. The former Trafford councillor stood for them at the last mayoral elections in 2021. Back then, she won 20% of the vote. Their ex-candidate, Dan Barker, said yesterday he'll be on the ballot for Nigel Farage's Reform UK.
Thousands of new jobs are being created at BAE Systems in Barrow to build nuclear-powered submarines for Australia. The investment, which is part of a joint military programme, is believed to be around £2.5 billion. BAE says it has plans to grow its submarines workforce to around 17,000.
Two Andean bears have arrived at Knowsley Safari Park ready to wow the crowds this Easter. The species that's usually found in South America is now at risk of extinction. They were the inspiration for Paddington Bear, and they've arrived just in time for World Bear Day, which is tomorrow.
Very cute. Right, time for sport now, and a dream is coming true for the former England manager Sven-Göran Eriksson. David's here, and David, it's going to be a special day at Anfield tomorrow, isn't it?
Oh, really, Sven. You know, he is one of the most well-loved figures in world football as the former England and Manchester City manager. You know, he's been at the top of the game for about 40 years now. He's a huge Liverpool fan. That's because of his dad. He's always said he's wanted to manage Liverpool, never had the opportunity. But that will change tomorrow because he's going to get the opportunity. The club have invited him to be part of the management team alongside John Barnes for a Liverpool Legends charity match against Ajax at Anfield. Well, this all came about after Sven, who's now 76, went public in January with the news that he's only got around a year left to live after being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Since then, there's been a huge outpouring of love and affection towards him. And tomorrow's game is raising money for the LFC Foundation, and it's now a complete sellout.
It's like a dream, and I could never have dreamt about that. But when I was manager, I always dreamt about Liverpool, but that never happened. It was close once, it was some discussion once, but now it happens. When I asked, I thought it was a joke, but I'm very honoured and very thankful to Liverpool that they gave me this opportunity.
So, David, it'll be an emotional day at Anfield, and the match sees him link up with Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, that's right. Gerrard was one of the so-called golden generation, along with the likes of David Beckham there and Wayne Rooney. And, of course, they were all managed by Sven when he was the England manager. Now, his appointment, of course, as the England manager back in 2001 was huge news because, well, he's from Sweden, as we know, and he was the first foreign manager for England. Well, he led the Three Lions to 3 quarterfinals, 2 World Cups and a Euros. After leaving England, he also went on to become the manager of Manchester City, but that only lasted a year. Well, his last job was 5 years ago, but tomorrow he's back in the dugout for what will be one very special last time.
It really will. Let's hope it fulfills all his dreams. Now, it's a busy weekend, as always, in sport. What else have you got for us?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. Well, over on the other side of Stanley Park, there's another big match taking place as Goodison Park plays host to a Merseyside derby as part of the women's football weekend. Everton face Liverpool on Sunday, while tomorrow at the Etihad Stadium, it's Manchester City against Manchester United. Ahead of those derby delights, Chris Hall has been catching up with all 4 of our clubs.
A CGI touch-up to the Liverpool skyline to hype up a rivalry which needs no enhancement.
I don't think I've been this high up at all before, and like seeing the city from up here, it's fabulous. This is a football city. Like, you see people walking around in the football shirts. It's awesome to see, and it's just something you want to be a part of.
I didn't realise, I don't think, until being a part of it, how big it was. You're either red, you're blue, and that's it. We actually have a few Everton men's supporters that's going to be supporting us because we get on with them.
Last year, 22,000 fans roared these teams on at Goodison Park, which missed out on the men's derby last week when that was postponed. So now the women take over the Grand Old Lady, possibly for the last time, with the new stadium on the horizon.
I think it's amazing. Obviously, my apartment's right down by the stadium, so I can see it every day, the progress that they're making, and it's a cool, beautiful stadium, so it would be great to play there one day.
I think playing in Premier League stadiums, I think we've grown to kind of get used to that this season. I think playing in Stamford Bridge, the Emirates, we have to kind of treat it as another game.
While the promo shots for a weekend of derbies may have you rubbing your eyes, seeing is believing when it comes to Super League attendance figures. 700,000 fans for the season so far, smashing last year's record with 6 rounds of matches to play. And plenty left in the locker, like the Manchester derby at the Etihad Stadium, a fixture some believe rivals El Clasico between Barcelona's women and Real Madrid.
The feeling, to be fair, the feeling is similar. It's a hard game, it's a competitive game. United have very good players, and we are very happy to play in Etihad, and we hope the people come to see us.
And they will, with 38,000 tickets already sold for a derby City have already won twice this season. But muscle memory tells Lucia Garcia her injury time winner last season doesn't have to be a one-off.
Amazing moment. It was like so special moment. It's a nice stadium. It's a derby, so I think there's no place better than that to play this game.
These most suitable stages are set as the battles of red and blue resume. Chris Hall, ITV News.
Well, due to the men's internationals, only our League Two sides are in action this weekend, and Accrington Stanley have today appointed John Doolan as their new permanent manager. Well, he's already been in charge for 3 games on a temporary basis after replacing their long-serving manager John Coleman, who was sacked at the beginning of the month. And Accrington is one of 17 grounds that a group of former footballers will be heading to over the next 2 days as part of a charity walk. The March of the Day team is trekking 175 miles from Bradford City Stadium to Anfield to raise money for the Derby Rimmer MND Foundation. It was set up by former Liverpool and Bolton player Stephen Derby, who was diagnosed with motor neuron disease in 2018. Yeah, huge good luck to everyone involved in that. That's all you sport for tonight.
Yeah, let's hope they raise a lot of money for a good cause. David, thank you.
Next, they're amongst the best remembered radio voices we've ever heard. Mark Radcliffe and Mark the Boy Lard Riley's shows of the 90s and noughties were a brilliant mix of music and daft jokes.
Yeah, well, now the pair have reunited for a tour of our regional theatres where they'll be reminiscing about their days on the airwaves. They came in for a chat with our Tim Scott, who began asking them why now for their tour.
Well, on Sunday, 24th of March, will be exactly 20 years to the day since the last Mark and Lard show on Radio 1, which finished with a big stop and was one of our catchphrases was stop, carry on.
That's right.
And so we're going to carry on Sunday to the day, 20 years.
And we're going to carry on with exactly the same material.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
OK, so you think, let's do a show, let's put on a show, as they say. You sit down, what can people expect? What kind of work's gone into this, if anything?
No, quite a lot, actually. We've actually thought about it more than I thought we might. Because at first you think, well, we'll just tumble on stage and have a chat, you know, because, I mean, that's what I think people wanted us to hear us talk about it. We can't recreate the old show. We can't do sketches. And, like, it would be, we can't learn them and do them. We thought we wanted to talk about it and people sort of give people the idea of how some certain ideas arose.
Yes.
But then when we started thinking about it, we thought, well, it would be nice to illustrate that with clips. And so we started going through a lot of stuff a lot of stuff to refine it down to kind of like about a dozen clips, which seem to give an overview of that kind of decade of work, really. So it's us chatting. There'll be an opportunity for questions, but we will be talking about specific things and playing in clips. And also on Sunday, we'll be joined by our friend Katie Puckrick, who's going to be the host and talk to us.
Fantastic. And when you look back on those years at Radio 1, it must be with fondness. You know, it's fair to say you were well loved for what you did back then.
Apart from the breakfast show, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange. We were kind of in the eye of the storm, so we did know 8 million listeners or whatever, but we never thought about it. And as Mark said in a different interview a long time ago, he said we just never thought it'd last. Yeah. You know, it was like, oh, we'll just day by day, we'll go for it, wing it. And it turned into a career somehow, you know.
We were trying to make each other laugh, really. And the guys who we worked with in the studio. I mean, really, it was a show produced for about 6 people. And the fact that 8 million people cottoned onto that, we always felt it was like a really big private club. And if you remember, you got all the references and all the jokes. And we never expected it to be big. We never expected it to last. And, you know, if it hadn't, we'd have thought it was a nice little detour.
Of course, I think some of the bits you're most proud of was David Bowie in the studio, the likes of David Bowie. How much fun was that? It sounded like it was fun.
Well, it's that cliche, the bigger the star, the nicer they are. But it transpires, it's true. I mean, Bowie ended up coming in a lot on the programme just because he knew we were actually legitimately big Bowie fans and weren't just doing it to fill a gap. And Paul McCartney came in and he was great as well. You know, I mean, so generous and generous with his time. And we had Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, interestingly, not on the same day.
You've got this one-off date at the weekend.
Yeah.
But there are other dates. If people want to find out about them, how can they do that?
Yeah, so there's a little website called markandlard.com with some sort of vaguely frightening cartoons of us on there. And so we're doing some more dates in the autumn, and I think in November we're playing in Crewe and Warrington and Shrewsbury. Right. So people in the northwest want to see us. We're doing those, and so come. But also, if you look at that website as well, if you want to watch us on Sunday night from 7:30, then you can. It's been streamed, so you can watch online.
Okay. Mark or should I say Mark and Lard, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Fantastic, thank you.
Brilliant. Hope they stick to that material.
Yeah, and great suits, chaps, as well.
Brilliant. Now, it's time for the weather. Here's Emma.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello there, very good evening to you and welcome to the weekend. So what do we have in store weather-wise? Well, it's going to be unsettled, sunny spells and showers, a few of those wintry, much colder than it was at the beginning of the week and windy at times as well, especially across the Isle of Man, through the Irish Sea and across exposed coasts and hills. So taking a look at the next few hours, the showers become more frequent this evening than they were today, and they could be heavy, there could be some hail in there too, maybe a rumble of thunder, but mostly hail. Also an element of wintriness, particularly above 400 metres, where there could be a couple of centimetres of snow lying by tomorrow morning, but even possibly a dusting to lower levels in 1 or 2 spots. A breezy night as well, gusts of 30-40 miles an hour, especially through the Irish Sea and across the Isle of Man there. A chilly night, and the sun is up tomorrow at 6:05 and sets about 6:30 in the evening. So then Saturday will be another day of sunny spells and showers. They'll be most frequent in the morning, also heaviest in the morning, with the risk of some hail in there once again, and the possibility of more wintriness in the morning rather than later on, because later they turn back to rain. That strong gusty wind continues, so actually these temperatures of 7 and 8 Celsius are going to feel more like 2 or 3 Celsius, so really a bitter wind chill kicking in. The showers continue for quite a while into the night, but then they do tend to die away towards the morning, becoming more confined to the Irish Sea. And then for Sunday we do find a ridge of high pressure building in for the first part of the day, but then look what's waiting in the wings for later, and we are expecting it to go downhill. So to recap, on Sunday we're expecting there to be showers confined to the Irish Sea, really. The winds will be lighter on Sunday though, and then on Monday we've got pulses of rain pushing northwards. That's it. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Emma, thanks very much for that. And that is all from the Granada Reports team this Friday evening.
After the break, we'll return to ITV News for the latest after the announcement about the health of the Princess of Wales. For now, though, from all the team here in Salford, it's good night.
Good night.